welcome you all in the sixth class of Kathopanishad. What we have seen in the last chapter that the Yamacharya is telling to Nachiketa about the Brahm. Where the Brahm is, how to achieve it, and why is not visible. All these steps are Yamacharya is explaining to Nachiketa one by one. Today we will start by the with the fourth part of Kathopanishad. Here it will come the introspection invites visual perception of the Brahma and etav vaitat. These words will come again and again. This is he is here. Uh, Here he is. It's like that. Etat vaitat, etat vaitat. This will come so many. Just like we ask someone what it is, how that person looks. You say he looks like this, he looks like this, he looks like in this way. So that's way, in this way, the Yamacharya is explaining to Nachiketa that etat vaitat, here he is, here he is. पराञ्चिखानि व्यत्रिन्स्त्वयं भूतस्तस्मात् परां पश्यति नान्तरात्मन् कश्चित् धीरा प्रत्यगात्मान् ऐक्षदा वृच्चक्षुरमृतत्वमिच्छन्. It's a bit difficult one. Self-existent. The God is self-existent. Nobody has made the God. This is the truth we should know. We can make an ideal. We can make the building. We can make the anything which we can make, but we cannot make the God. So he is the self-existent, that is God, has created the all organs of senses which we say in the last chapter. They are appearing outwards. Always they go outward, outward, outward. They are not going inward. So appearing outward, therefore man looks towards outer side, not within to the Atma. Whenever we see we outside all the time, like sometime we see many people, they say they cannot close their eyes because they have not been taught since childhood to sit and close their eyes. Always it's open. We are watching TV, watching mobile. Nowadays there are so many distraction is there. So pranchikhani indriyani, all the senses are going outward. Then Kashit Dhira Pradya Atmata. Only a stable Solomon person who is desiring to get the Atma, getting the immortality, he shuts his eyes from all the objects outside, worldly players, and turns towards the Atma. Only the person who seeks immortality, he sits by closing his eyes and he goes inside to meet his Atma. पराचः कामान् हुन्नयन्ति बालास्ते मृत्योर्यन्ति विततस्य पाशम् अथ धीरा अमृतत्वं विदित्वा ध्रुवं ध्रुवेष्विः न प्रार्थयन्ते. पराचः, simply the people, innocent people who don't have the very polished knowledge, they run after the outstretched elements, outstretched desires. They move forward, but they cannot be held. Just like they say, the Sita Mata asked for that golden deer. He sent the Shri Rama and Lakshmana also for to look for that deer. The same way they say they are running to at the back of the desires, but they cannot hold it. They are always, the desire is moving further and further. Like in the starting we had a little bit of salary and we wanted a house. Then we double duty, double job, double business. This we make a small house. Then we want a bigger house. Then more bigger house. So this way our desires will go on. The same way they are telling, the person who is not very much aware of the mortal world, what he say, he run after the outer stretched desires and they move forward but cannot be held. People run after but are unable to catch. In point of fact, they get entangled in the net of death and birth, death and birth, death and birth, and which is spread all over. And people with perseverance, with the perception of immortality, do not petition for stability in these unstable world, in these unstable objects. There is no stability. Today we have very good best friend, tomorrow he won't be there. Today we have very good family, very good financial security, tomorrow we may not have. So nothing is stable in this unstable world. this whole world is unstable. This is the fact. The person who has the polished knowledge, who reads the Shastras, who has the blessing of the it will come further, who has the grace of God, who has the blessing of God, he only knows that everything is unstable, the time will pass and the things will pass on again. येन रूपं रसं गंधं शब्दान् स्पर्शांश्च मैथुनान् एतेनैव विजानाति किं मत्तर परिशिष्यते एतद्वै तत्. Here he is, what is telling: form, taste, smell, sound, and touch and sex. These doesn't exist at their own. We create them. We want them. Then these subjects come into our into the picture. So he who is conducting all this, if he withdraws, in such cases these cannot be perceived. If the senses goes inside and mind doesn't want all these subjects, and Atma, the Buddhi stamped it, yes, I don't want these type of things, then person cannot go beyond in these desires only. So in such cases these cannot be perceived when the person doesn't want this. So perception is because of him, the soul, the Brahma. So devoid of him, can anything else? No. In this way we can understand this point also, that everything which comes is because of our karma only. Whatsoever is we are receiving is because of our karma, and at the base of karma only the Atma is guiding the wisdom, and wisdom to mana to Indriya, to do and to perform some actions. So in fact, he alone, the God alone, is the ultimate reality. Swapanantam jagritantam chobhau yenanupashyati mahantam vibhum atmanam matva dhiro na shochiti. What he says? When a man awakes after sleep, he knows that I slept, I am the same person. So something is there which is not sleeping when we are sleeping. And when we go to sleep, we know I am Sukama. And when I'll get up tomorrow morning, again I will come to know I am the Sukama. So something is existing which is not changing, which is not sleeping, which is same when I was sleeping, or which is same when I'm getting up. The same they are telling, when a man awakes after sleep, how does he understand he is the same who slept? When he sleeps after being awake, he understand that he will be the same tomorrow morning? How it comes? Because after waking up, the way in which a man perceives both of these things sides precisely with this. He finds fathom the greatness and supremacy of Atma. The Atma remains. This concept we can understand in this way also. When I was a child, I was a 3 years old, 5 years old, I was the same. When I 14, 15 years old girl, I was knowing I am the same. When at the age of 30, 40, I knew I am the same. So something is continuously same. My body is changing. I was 1 feet, 2 feet, 3 feet, 4 feet. So body is changing, but one thing is constant. That constant one is the Atma. The Upanishadkar is telling. This is the greatness and supremacy of Atma. A soul person who understands the greatness of Atma, he doesn't grieve, since pettiness is the cause of grief and sorrow in life. There are no grief and sorrow in greatness. So he realizes this thing, the greatness of Atma. Ya imam madvadam veda atmanam jiva mantikat ishanam bhut bhavyasya na tato vijugupsate. Etadvaitat. The Yamacharya is describing, the soul relishes the taste of honey, the sweet bliss. The only soul can realize that. So it's attached towards the sweetness, because he has taken the anandam, the sweetness we can say. So bitterness is hidden behind the sweetness of worldly things. There are worldly things, they look like that they are sweet, but they are not actually sweet. The bitterness is in between. Sarvamev dukkham vivekina. The person who has some vivek, who has some wisdom, he knows that there is always dukh behind the sukham. There is always a misery behind the peace, behind the happiness. So bitterness is hidden behind the sweetness of all the worldly pleasures. The sweetness of Brahma is the sweetness which steadily persists bit by bit. So whosoever is in close proximity with the Atma recognizes this condition of this state of Jivatma. He is the master of his past and the future because he knows something is continuously the same and something is changing. So he knows what is the past and what will be the future. He doesn't suffer from remorse after that when he realizes the soul is there. In fact, the real power is not of the organ of sense but of the Atma, because Atma, when commands the sense organs, then they go. यः पूर्वं तपसो जातं दभ्य पूर्वमजायत गुहां प्रविश्य तिष्ठन्तं यो भूतेर्भिर्व्यपश्यत् एतद्वै तत्. This will come in all the shlokas. What is this? After relating about the Atma, now he is commenting, Yamacharya is commenting on the Brahma, God. The universe was established due to the self-mortification of God, ascetic practice, what we say, the penance of the God. Okay? So, ritam, what the mantra say na? Ritam cha satyam cha, om ritam cha satyam cha abhidhayat. Rit is the absolute truth and satya is the relative truth, which depends on the satyam is depends on the circumstances. It may be changed, but though it remain truth, it may change, but the rhythm is the absolute truth. Like the sun rises in the east, it's an absolute truth, it will remain a truth till the world exists. So what the God did, he did the penance, and the origin of Rit is the, we can say in the other way, absolute law and the relative law also. The origin of Rit and Satya, there are relative first by the penance. Whenever any action has to be performed, there need to be some tapa. Nothing can be achieved without the tapasa. So tapasa is inevitable, it has to be done. So nothing happens with ease without tapa. Intense pious acts tapa, hence tapa was first in the formation of the universe. When the universe became, the first the tapa came. After that, tapa was in the first formation of the universe. But the Brahma existed earlier than the tapa. There should be someone who will perform the tapasya. So Brahma was before the tapa, because he performed the pious action kriya. So before kriya, he performed the tapasa. For establish the universe, he performed the tapa. After the tapa, when the universe came in existence, then came the absolute law first. Then later, relative law, which we say the satyam. Then at first there was a gaseous state, then the igneous state, then aqueous state, and then this earth is born where the life is there. So in this way, the Brahma created the whole universe. Guham pravishya tishtantam yo bhuter bhiv pashyat. He is hiding in the cavern inside the heart. Guha pravishtam tishtantam. He is still present there. He hasn't left our place. He is not settled far away. He is inside us in the center of our heart. He is seated hidden there. If playing hide and seek with us is not very easily accessible to us, he has taken cover behind these five elements, and he is sitting in behind those. He is seated with them. These precisely are his street. Such they can say, here he is, here is. Who can see? Then only we can say, na. If we want, where is your pencil? Here it is, here it is, here it is. Because I have seen it, I have realized it. The same way who has realized the God within, he can only say, here it is, here it is. या प्राणेन संभवति अदितिर्देवतामयी गुहां प्रविश्य तिष्ठन्तीं या भूतेर्भिर्व्यजायत एतद्वै तत्. There are two factors, male and female. Whatsoever God has made in male and female, the maybe the dog or the fish because the progeny should be there. So male and female is there. So till now they were talking about the male part. Now they are explaining, the Yamacharya is explaining in the female form. The Brahma, the energy of divinity is boundless and is equal to motherhood. It is revealed from pranayam. When we do the pranayam, breath control yogic exercise is best for engaging the senses with mind and then mind with the atma. So that's why we do pranayam, the breathing exercise. Without pranayam, the senses, like wicked horses, they go helter and skelter. And while doing pranayam is a bond which binds the mind with the atma. So he gets direct instructions from the atma, then he can instruct the senses. That godness caused then with these five elements, which is seated in height. These all five elements. She has taken their cover, playing hide and seek with us, and she is seated before us. Whoever perceive of her hidden in the existent creation, whosoever perceives his presence in the her presence, because here we are talking about the female energy. She is presence behind the every creation. Then the person say, here she is, here she is. अरण्योर्निहितो जातवेदा गर्भ इव सुकृतो गर्भिणीभिः दिवे दिव ईडयो जागृत भिर्हविष्वमद्भिर्मनुष्यैर्भिरग्निः एतद्वै तत्. What they saying? Just as fire exists in the two pieces of wood, not the normal wood, but arni, there is one special sort of wood, arni, it's called arni. So when they rub before the yajna, they don't use the matchstick to fire the yajna as we do every day. They use the arni. So when they rub, the fire comes out. Like in big homams, the somyag, they perform this arni. Fire is there. So just as fire exists it within the wood, it is not visible. When you rub it, then only after rubbing also, it's not for one time or two time. I think 100 or 200 times they rub, then the fire comes. So it is not visible, and to reveal it is necessary to rub. Then same like in pregnancy, if a mother is a pregnant, then his pregnancy is well protected. It's not visible, but the woman knows that she is pregnant and she is attached to the womb. So attention is always towards them. Same way, the alert people, what they say, they rub their five elements every day and they ignite the fire in between, and then they realize the presence of God and they get connected to them. That is called Brahma Agni, and are always reflecting over it. Such persons are Havishmana. When we perform the yajna, we say Havi. Havi is the Havi which offer to the fire, to the sacrificial fire. So whatever is in hand, we are ready to give. That is why it's Havi. We leave it. We don't take it back. So Havi is the when we want to offer. They don't cling to anything. Just everything is offered to the fire in the same way. Because it's Swaha. Swaha. Everything is offered in the sacrificial fire. So they are eager to dedicate everything in the Brahmagni. So as you are doing everyday homam and you are saying Swaha to sacrifice the fire, same way you have to sacrifice all of your belongings as a Swaha to the Brahmagni. Then they exclaim after deep thought, Etad Vaitat, Etad Vaitat, he is here, he is here. यतश्चोदेति सूर्योस्तत्र तं यत्र च गच्छति तं देवा सर्वे अर्पितास्तदु नात्यति कश्चन एतद्वै तत्. What is telling? यतश्चोदेति सूर्यो तस्तं यत्र च गच्छति. How we can say? The greatest energy for us is the sun. When sun is there, the food grains are there, rain is there, life is feasible because sun is there. So its rise is precisely due to him. Who manages? Who say, okay, Like we go to the office, the gate man opens and he rings the bell. Okay, office school starts now. Then 2 o'clock he again rings the bell. Oh, okay, now the leave. No, someone is there who is controlling the school, the discipline, the management. Same way, who is managing the sun? Who says sun? Okay, now it's the winter time. Okay, sun rises at 7 a.m. Okay, now it's the summer time. Sun rises at 5:30 a.m. So who is managing? So in this is Surya. The sun is managed. Is managed by him only. He creates and he concludes it. Everything is created by him, the Brahma, and he will destroy everything, demolish everything. So daily rising and setting of the sun is also controlled by the him. All the gods bow to him, all devatas, all deities bow to him, all are dedicated to him, and no one is greater than him. He alone is etadvaita. He only. There is no example of him, we can say. Yaddeveh tadmutra, yadmutra tadanvih, mrityo sa mrityomapnoti, yah ihnanev pashyati. The power that is working in the universe is working, the power of the universe which is working here is working there also, and what power is working there is working here also. The only one power is there, they want to say in this shloka, that as far as you can go, further and further and further, and anywhere in the world his authority is established in the whole world, in the whole universe, not the world. The person who doesn't understand the unity of the world, who believes that there is a different power is working there and different power is working here, he is who visualize such various notions, he follows the footstep of death. He cannot achieve the unity. So what they want to tell in this shloka is, there is unity of power. Everywhere the same power exists. मनसा एव दवाप्तव्यं नेहनानस्ति किंचन मृत्यु सह मृत्युं गच्छति यह इहनानेव पश्यति. Thou the mind experience in that one factor takes place, not thou the senses. The diversity seen through the senses is not real. The sight of unity is life and the sight of diversity is death. What we say, there is one word, is the unity in diversity. Yes, this is the quotation, unity in diversity. So diversity we see, the hill is there, the sea is there, the building is there, the land is there, the tree is there, so many things are there. Though there is diversity, but there is one unity. This one they want to say. The sight of unity is life and the sight of diversity is the death. Whosoever cites diversity, not unity, he follows in the footstep of mouth of death. This shloka came to Brihadaranyaka Upanishad also. This is the very famous shloka. Angushtamatra purusho madhya atmani tishtati ishano bhut bhavyasya na tato vijugupsate etadvaitat. God is seated in the core of Atma. Like as yesterday we discussed, if we have a one pot, we can put a bigger stone into the pot. Then later, though the pot is filled totally, still we have some we can have some little stones, little smaller size of stones we can put into that pot. And if someone say, oh, I want to put something more, what we can put? We can put some sand into that pot. And if the person comes and he say, I want to put something more, what he can put? He can put water into that pot. Though there is no space after putting the bigger stones, still after that we can add so many things, because those things are subtler than the bigger stones which we put in the first round. The same way they say, the God is seated in the core of Atma. Atma is very small, very minute, and inside Atma there is Paramatma. How? Angushta matra. Angushta matra is just thumb like. Angushta matra, like a thumb. As a thumb is surrounded in the fist, like we say is surrounded in the fist, same way Paramatma is surrounded by the Atma in the Angushta matra, at the heart place. How can God perfectly fit into the Atma? Whatever form we perceive God within the Atma mind, it is as if we have held his thumb. We can see like this, that if we hold the hand of our father, what we feel, what we feeling we have, that I have hold my father. But we don't say I hold the hand of my father. So same way, when we have this feeling, we see that I have the God. This is exactly just like a child holding his father's finger, thinking that he is holding his father, the entire father. He alone is the master of his past and future, because I am holding his hand. There can be no after man perceive him. After his perception, there is no remorse. And the person say, Etat vaitat, etat vaitat. The same, the next shloka is अंगुष्टमात्रः पुरुषो ज्योतिर्वा धूमकः ईशानो भूतभव्यस्य स एवाद्य स ऊष्वः एतद्वै तत्. That very Brahm is all pervasive. He exists everywhere. When he exists everywhere, then mere thumb or some perception about him is like his entire perception. Like we hold the one corner of the bed sheet, we say, am holding the bed sheet. The same way, when we have a little glimpse of him or we have some perception of him, we say, I have the perception of the entire God. He is like a radiant flame, such a flame which has no smoke, no disorder, and he is the master of past and future. He exists, he will exist, and he will exist forever. He precisely is Etad Vaitat, Etad Vaitat. The last shloka of this part is Yathodkam Durge Vrishtam Parvateshu Vidhavati Evam Dharman Prithak Panchasthanevanu Vidhavati. Just as rainwater runs down in different streams from the hill. From the hill, the rainwater goes to the different streams, all the four sides of the hill. But we say there are so many streams, but water is one. That example is given in this. Just as rainwater runs down in the stream from high mountains in different segments, the same water flows in the various streams. The water is the same. People think that these waters are not one but several. Who has the low wisdom? They say like this. Similarly, observing various virtues of the senses, man understands and thinks that there is no unity in the world but diversity. But to find that diversity, he runs after it and he can never catch this diversity. So, what the Yamacharya wants us to see, we see the unity behind the diversity. The last shloka of this part is 15th one. यथोदकं शुद्धे शुद्धमासक्तिं तादृगेव भवति एवं मुनिर्विजानत् आत्मा भवति गौतम. One name of Nachiketa was Gautam, because he was in the lineage of Rishi Gautam. He say Yatho Udkam Shuddhe Shuddhamasakti. Just as we put pure water is poured in an uncontaminated water, it remains pure. But when you put the pure water into the contaminated water, it remains contaminated. Similarly, if a clean, upright Atma unites with the God, it becomes virtuous. And if it unites with a corrupt world, it will become imperfect. So this is our choice, whether we want to join with perfect God or the imperfect world. So, O Gautam, such is the course of Atma. So in this fourth part, the Yamacharya explained about the Atma to the Nachiketa. We stop here. Om